We are live. Welcome. If you're watching this back, we are live. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook. We're live in our Facebook group. We're live on LinkedIn, on my personal LinkedIn. Hi. And we're live on Instagram. We are making an incredible recipe today with an epic made in Canada product that we carry, Muskoka Morning Egg White Protein. Can you give me a yay? Hi, Karen. Can you give me a yes? Can you give me a wow? Hi, Shalini. Hi, Lori. We have a full house on Instagram tonight. This is going to be pretty epic. So we have Brie. Brie needs no introduction. This is Brie's recipe, and I get to hang out and watch and read her directions, you guys. My job is the best. My job's the best tonight. Someone just said, Maggots just said, I ordered this, perfect timing. Thank you. Hi, Nancy. Woo-hoo! On Facebook. We are, hey, Christina, we are just, it's really full house tonight. All right. Brie, how you feeling?
I'm good. I'm ready to cook.
I put my hair in a bun because Brie put her hair in a bun. So it's kind of like, you know, the movie Mean Girls. Like I do what Brie does right now. Yo, let's do the same angle.
Oh God.
Like the same angle. All right.
Hey, someone said, hey, from icy Sudbury. I'm also from Sudbury. And yes, almost skated down the hill walking the dog this morning.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad that you're.
Yeah, it was not good.
I'm glad that you're here to tell the story.
Yes, alive and willing to share.
So just so everybody knows, I've got two kids downstairs, and Brie's got a dog. I've got a dog. It might be a little bit noisy, but we got this. I'm gonna spotlight.
We got this.
Brie. All right, Brie, it's over to you.
Okay. So, well, technically, I'm gonna need you to read the recipe to me so that I'm doing it in proper order.
Yes.
But I'm actually gonna ask Neha to turn down her volume just a touch so I don't have to keep hearing myself.
Yes, let me do that.
Thank you. Okay, so one of the important things about this recipe is that it definitely takes a couple tries to get the formulation correct. So you are going to need a couple things. I've actually made this recipe without a few of the ingredients just to test out the texture of it, the color of it, all that kind of stuff. So you can definitely play around with this recipe, but the one that we're sharing tonight is the one that has shown most consistent results for me anyways in terms of baking. It's also one of the most versatile recipes that you can make. You can make it sweet or savory. I've made French toast with it. I've also made everything bagels. I've made garlic buns with them. So realistically, like, you can play around with the base ingredients of this recipe and really make it all your own, which is I think what is most important for me when I'm finding a good recipe is I want to be able to know that if I'm going out and buying a bunch of ingredients that I can use them for other things and or the same recipe just with different ingredients. So all that to say, the first thing we're going to start off with is our egg whites. So I believe it calls for 12 egg whites separated. I just used the egg whites in a carton. And you want to whisk them and or use your KitchenAid mixer like I use until they form a stiff peak. So give me 1 sec.
Ooh, that sounds amazing.
So 12 egg whites. So I'm just going to use the generic one. I won't show the brand, but I get it at Costco. So 63 grams is 2 egg whites. So 63 times 6, because that would give us 12. So I just use my measuring cup.
Wait, did we preheat the oven yet to 325?
I did. Yeah, I should mention that. So yes, my oven is already preheated so that I can just plop in the recipe when I'm good to go. So I've got my egg whites and I'm going to pour them into my mixer stand over here.
Ooh, I love this.
And you put nothing else in there until after. So you make sure that the peaks are formed. So I'm going to run it. It might be a little bit loud. I'm going to actually probably mute myself just so that it's Not loud. I won't share anything important while this.
I can talk about Muskoka. So Muskoka mornings, you guys, we were looking for an egg white protein powder for quite a bit of time. There are some brands in the US, but there is a lot of duties and customs that you need to pay to get egg white. Here, it's kind of like the thing that has like 600% duties, which you don't really want to pay. And the egg white protein powder, it's made mostly with Ontario hens. What I've learned is that Canada has one of the highest hen standards in the world, which is amazing. So, which is really good to know. But you can literally almost 90% of the eggs are from Ontario, and the remaining 10 are from hens from across Canada. So that's really exciting. So the taste is good. It doesn't smell like, it doesn't have like an eggy smell or anything like that. We get that question a lot. And you can make a lot of stuff with it. So I put it in my keto chows. I put it in protein shakes. I've actually added it to baking, and it is a really cool way to get an extra protein. Checking in on Instagram, you guys. How are you doing? Can you see? Is Brie frozen? Am I frozen? Can you hear us? Give me a yay. Even on Facebook, please give me a yay if you can hear us. We have a question. Don't you add egg white protein in with the liquid egg whites? For you, Brie. After. So we're going to add that after.
Yeah, so you guys just give me a minute. I'll get there. I promise.
We're going to.
You guys are way ahead of it. You got to follow this is another thing is like, I've done it both ways, and it is better when the egg whites are whisked together.
Yeah.
It's really important that you follow the steps.
I love that. Thank you. I just realized that I should probably, in retrospect, you should have gone live on SwitchGrocery. Does it matter? It's all good. So I'm here with you. You guys would not have been able to see me. It's all good. We're figuring it out.
So just as an in-between as to when this is going on, like it's been like 1 to 2 minutes now, and it's still going. It's still blending. So it does take a couple minutes. So be patient. Don't rush the process. The one, I would say, quote unquote, downside, I just remembered I have to take something out of the oven because it's preheated. I put my leftover dinners in there, and I'm like, it smells good. That's because our leftover dinner is in the oven right now, heating back up because I hid it. Anyways, don't rush the process. That's probably the only, I would say, quote unquote, downside is like, this is not a quick recipe. You definitely can't make this in 10 minutes. I would set aside an hour. Not the whole cook time is an hour, but definitely the whole process. Getting everything ready, measuring everything out, the cooking time plus the resting time, it takes a little bit. So that's still going. I'm going to take out the dinner that I forgot and threw in the oven. Oh, I hear babies in the background.
I hear it. I hear it. So I don't have a mixer like that, Brie.
So you can use a hand mixer.
Okay.
Because until Christmas, I also didn't have one of those. So this is just kind of a bonus that I don't have to stand here and use a hand mixer. But yeah, makes life a little bit easier. But a hand mixer, whisking it just does just the same job, a little bit more labor intensive, I should say.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll stop this and I'll show you kind of what it looks like right now.
Sounds good. We have a question about what peaks are we waiting to reach. So this will be exciting.
Until it's like stiff. Like you don't want it to come out of the bowl. So this is about good. I'm gonna let it go for a couple more seconds, but like you want to flip it over and not have it move. But I'm seeing the edges. I don't know if you guys can see the edges. They're like a little soft, which is fine, but I just want to toughen it up just a little bit.
Amazing. So I have a question for our Instagram family. If you can head over to Facebook or YouTube and check if our sound is on Our sound is on. You can see Brie making everything. Yes, you can see us. Okay, great. I'm getting a yes. Okay.
So all I did at the end was I just kind of kicked it up into high gear just a little bit, just to quicken the process. But as you can see, like the texture almost looks like Cool Whip or something, like whipped cream. Similar in consistency, maybe a little bit stiffer, but hold on, I'll bring it a little bit closer.
Okay. I'm going to be back in 1 minute. I'm going to go check on the dog. Be back.
Okay, so this is what it looks like for everyone who can see it. Like I can turn this upside down and it's not really going anywhere. So you've got some texture to it as well. So now we're going to add in the remaining ingredients. So it almost looks like, I don't know if you guys have ever made like marshmallow fluff, but that's honestly kind of, when you take it apart, that's what it reminds me of. So we're gonna either put that back on the stand mixer and or just take the bowl and you're gonna add the remaining ingredients. This is where I'm gonna need Neha.
I'm back.
Okay, so Neha, do you want to list off the remaining ingredients that are going to be added to the egg whites?
Yes, absolutely. We've got a 1/4 cup powdered erythritol. We've got half a teaspoon of Redmond real fine salt.
Yeah.
We've got half a teaspoon cream of tartar.
Yeah.
And we've got a cup of Muskoka Morning's egg white protein powder.
Okay, so I've gone ahead and added in the powdered erythritol. That is one of the things that I've actually previously not included because I wanted to see what it would be like with like garlic powder, onion powder, all that kind of stuff. Texture wasn't too different. Sweetener apparently does help form the loaf a little bit better, or the loaves, like if you're doing buns and stuff like that. And I have the salt out somewhere. But anyway, so it does help. It also, if you're going to do the traditional loaf, it definitely helps to create more of a traditional taste. Like bread is traditionally kind of sweet, like a little, it's slightly sweet. And then when you add like a little bit of salt, it kind of counteracts the sweetness really nicely. So I'm going to add that in.
Love it. That makes sense. I feel like sometimes I would add it depending on what I want to do with it. Like if I want to make French toast, I would add it.
Yeah. So we're going to do, is it a 1/4 teaspoon of tartar sauce? Or half teaspoon, I forget.
Half teaspoon.
Okay. Half teaspoon of that.
Half teaspoon of Redmond real fine salt.
Yeah, with the salt. And then
a cup of Muskoka
Morning.
Love it.
Okay.
So for anyone who just joined, we are making we're making 0 carb bread. So we're making Maria Emmerich's adapted recipe for SwitchGrocery. We're making it with Muskoka Morning's egg white protein, which is protein powder we carry, which is also our product of the week, 10% off. And many of you have it and have asked us how to make this bread. So we're hoping this helps. You can find the recipe on our site. The link is literally you go to the homepage and you'll see, if you scroll down, you'll see the full recipe and with some instructions on how to make it. And Brie has been making it. So this is Brie's adapted recipe.
Yes, so that's all done. So while that's going, you can get a bread pan ready to go. So you can grease it with like melted butter, coconut oil, avocado oil, olive oil. I've used coconut oil, butter, and olive oil. For me, just like having olive oil, you can just grease the pan very easily. And Switch actually carries like the tastiest olive oil from Pineapple Collaborative. So all I do is I take my pan, drizzle a little bit in the pan, and then I go old school and just literally rub it all on the inside of the pan so that it doesn't stick.
Love.
And it adds like that extra bit of richness to the loaf too. Definitely helps to lift it out of the pan after the fact as well. Because I have made the mistake of not greasing it and just thinking my pan was okay on its own. It was not, and it took a lot of scrubbing. So I would like you to avoid that as much as possible. So yeah, as you can see, just like a light layer of olive oil throughout. The loaf is definitely going to rise to the top, so make sure you do get to the very top of the pan. I also usually have leftovers too. So our leftovers, like leftover mix. So what you can also do in preparation is get a baking sheet out and grease that as well. So you can even make a couple buns, or if you have 2 bread loaves and you want to make 2 bread loaves, you can definitely do that.
Love.
So while that's been mixing, that's all prepped. I'm going to go check on that. This doesn't take as long to mix together. If you notice any sort of clumping that happens with the egg whites in the mix, just get a little spatula out and you can pull your mixer out and just like go around the edges of your bowl, just scooping out the sides, making sure that everything comes out nice and smooth. This one's actually doing pretty good. I've had occasions where it gets a little clumpy, but as you can see right now, like very much cloud-like, very solid in consistency, but still, you've got some peaks coming out here.
Love.
I'm gonna let it go for just a couple more seconds, and then we'll pull that out and put that on the in the pan. And that's just on like a fairly low setting itself. It's just doesn't need to go very aggressive. And yeah, this is an awesome olive oil. If you guys haven't tried this from Pineapple Collaborative, it's also just like a very pretty jar. Like I know someone had messaged me about the apple cider vinegar from them that I had posted, and they're like, I kind of just want to display it in my kitchen. It's in the cupboard right now, but I'm like, they just make really pretty like kitchen ingredients.
Yeah, I love their packaging. They do such a good job with it.
So pretty. Yeah. So one thing too about Muskoka mornings is, so for me, because I track my macros and stuff like that, and I really struggle with getting in protein. Not all the time, but there's some days where I'm just like, I really struggle. So sometimes I'll do like a keto chow, because that's usually about 20 to 25 grams of protein. So in a whole serving, this for 1 scoop, which is 20 grams.
Got it.
It's only 1 gram of carbs, but for protein, there's 16 grams of protein in a scoop, which is insane. Like to me, it's insane.
It's amazing.
Because you can just easily add it to whatever and get a massive amount of protein without like having to consume something heavy or like whatever. So I really like it for that. So this is done.
I love it. And I think this recipe would be really good for anyone who sort of, like, I don't know, for me sometimes, I was talking to Brie about it, but I've been getting like a meat aversion lately. And so like I've been having more keto chow and more just eggs. So this would be like really helpful for me. And my kids having one too. So we have a question, Brie. Are you keeping it on high speed after adding the egg white powder from Barb on Facebook?
No, you keep it low to medium. This one you don't need a lot of crazy mixing going on. I mean, if it goes high, it's not a big deal either, but I think smoother and slower is better after it's in there, just to avoid any clumps. Just takes some time.
Got it. Hope that.
And if you're making this mix too as well, this isn't like a baking mix that you want to like leave out for very long, because I'm trying to remember what it did when I left it out. It just wasn't like great. Like it fell a little bit after I had left it out. I had already made 1 loaf, but I was like, okay, I only had 1 clean pan at the time. So I was like, I'll just clean that. And after the first loaf is done, and I'll make the rest of the mix. It fell. So I don't think I did anything wrong. I just think that if you leave egg whites left unattended in the state that they're in for too long, then you can't use them to make a loaf, or I wouldn't advise it anyways.
Got it. Good tip.
So bread loaf, you guys won't be able to see it, but I'll hold it up. I'm literally just going to dump this into the bread pan.
It looks so The consistency looks really good, Brie.
Like, isn't that so cool?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can get like a good view of it, but like, should just like you should be able to just slap it off the spoon like that, just like nice and fluffy in there.
So Nikki on Instagram says that's normal for egg whites. They turn back into liquid quickly. So that's a really good tip.
Okay.
To
Awesome.
hurry it up.
I learned the hard way, so you don't have to.
It's very fluffy. So since everybody will not, because guys, we're not going to wait the 45 minutes, but what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll post, Brie's going to send me a video and we'll post it on Facebook and on Instagram with how the final turned out, like just her taking it out of the oven. Brie, can you describe the taste for everybody? Like, what does it taste like? What's the texture like? What was your first bite like when it comes out?
Oh, I thought you meant like the raw one right now. I was like, I don't know.
No, but you could give that a taste too if you want.
I don't know if you're supposed to eat raw eggs though. I mean, I know bodybuilders sometimes do it, but I wouldn't probably advise that. It is it's like bread. It's like a little bit like spongier, thicker in terms of consistency, but it's so good. Like I eat this non-freaking stop. Like I can't even tell you. It has just changed the game for me as opposed to like going out and buying like a keto bread or whatever. Like sometimes that's more convenient, but it's also convenient to just spend the 45 minutes to an hour making this. This also has, in my mind, a lot more nutritional, what's the word I'm looking for? It has more nutritional value versus like some of the other keto breads that you might get out there. It's higher in protein. It's lower in carbs. Like literally this is 0 carbs to make it. Okay, so one sec. This is still, I'm still adding it in. I have not given up on you guys. Yeah, it's going to grow very tall in the oven as well. Normal. Don't freak out because the first time I saw it, I was like, oh my God, I did something wrong. Yeah. But it does fall after it cools. Okay. So one of the big things that I do want to mention, and one thing that I was confused about because I'd never really done a recipe like this before. This is what it looks like so far. So when you're cooking this, you're going to put it in the oven for 30 minutes with the oven on. After that 30 minutes is done, you turn the heat off. You turn your oven completely off and you still leave this in there for another 15 minutes. When that is done, then you take it out of the oven and I still let it cool. It's obviously still going to be warm coming out of the oven even after the oven has been turned off, but leaving it in and turning the oven off after that 15 minutes is really important. Okay. Because it's still going to need some cook time. I'll go again. This is all on the website. It's all on the website, but I just like explaining it because people are like, "What do you mean? Like, why would I turn the oven off and then still leave it in there? Like, it just doesn't make sense." I promise you, it does. So, anyways, this is it. It's gonna go in the oven now. You can. I smoothed it out slightly, but like nothing crazy. It might look pretty. It might not look pretty, but. It's what's on the inside that counts, right, ladies? Yeah. it's what's on the inside that counts. That is like the best. Exactly. And we wanted to do this live because really, if you go to the recipe, there's only 6 steps. There's like, and one of them is preheat the oven. Like it's preheat the oven, you know, separate the eggs, place the whites, so stuff that Brie's gone through and done. Grease the pan is a step. And you know, the baking, we actually have in there that what Brie said, which is you turn the oven off and you leave the bread in the oven for 15 minutes. Hi, Muskoka Mornings. Muskoka Mornings is in the house. Hi. And so it's really important that you just follow, basically, if you just follow the recipe, and I printed it out on like 1 page, like it's, I find Brie with these recipes, I'm super intimidated, but once you make it once, then you can add it to your, you know, the things that you make on a Sunday for the week. I literally make this every single week, no fail. Amazing. Because it is just something it's also easier for me to grab a slice of this bread than to pack up lunch meat because I'm trying to like get in some added protein or pack like turkey bites or grab like whatever, like any sort of like, or hard boiling some eggs. Like I literally can grab 2 pieces of bread and have something like 40 grams of carbs, 40 grams of protein on my plate. And I actually just went and grabbed a couple of the things that I like to add onto the bread. So whether it's just like butter, or anything like that, like that's fine. You can keep it simple. You can also do like mayo, lettuce, and ham, like whatever. But I grabbed a couple of my favorite Switch products. So the Fatso peanut butters are really delicious on it. Salted caramel is definitely my favorite. I also have the Good jam. So this stuff is sugar free. It also comes in a bunch of different flavors. The apricot is also another favorite of mine, but this here is the raspberry. And then also the Lee's Ghee brown butter. This is just like another really clean. Yeah, it just like adds a little something like other than traditional butter. It tastes like dessert. So also brown butter with the Fatso peanut butter, really good. So yeah, that's literally all it takes.
Amazing.
It is so easy to like prep. It's just the longevity and like the length of time for the cooking is a little bit longer. But again, you're like getting amazing product at the end of it, and you store it in the fridge. Do not leave it out because we have to keep in mind it's still being made with eggs, and eggs need to be stored in the fridge. So you can toast this. You can also make this on a frying pan, like you were doing French toast. And you can use sugar-free syrup. You can, we also have evolved chocolate. So you can make a chocolate sauce and like drizzle that on top. I clearly love food.
I love that.
I can come up with like a zillion different ways to make this bread.
So Brie, I think like in another life, you should be a salesperson, like for a food distributor with like, well, basically, I think that's what you are now for Switch, isn't it?
I was like, what?
Okay, we have another question.
Have that job title. Yeah.
Nikki's reminding us there was a question up on it from Instagram. Can Swerve be replaced with powdered stevia?
I would assume so.
Yeah, I would assume so too.
Because it's still like a powdered. I also would love to one day try it with granular. I also really want to try it with Sweet Monk sweetener, which is the liquid sweetener that we carry. I have heard and like from the research I've done that the powdered sweetener does help hold the consistency of the bread. But one day I will try it with Sweet Monk sweetener because like that is just stuff I keep on hand. The only time I use powdered sweetener is when I'm like baking, which sometimes is a lot, sometimes not, but I always have Sweet Monk on hand. So I would prefer to just use a couple squeezes of that versus having to always keep that on hand. So I would imagine that a powdered sweetener would be okay. This bread is pretty good in terms of like, so I didn't have cream of tartar for a while and I was still making this recipe and it was turning out fine. Like it was never a big deal. It just does help stabilize the bread and keep it like formed and doesn't fall after. And cream of tartar, like I was like, where am I going to find this? I literally got it at Walmart. It's not a big deal at all. So yeah, everything is very easy to find as well. I always get really intimidated if I see ingredients that I don't have or like, I'm like, I've never used it before. What am I going to, it's a very, very basic recipe once you've done it a couple times. So
I love it. Thank you so much, Brie. Are there any other questions? I'm putting in a thank you for watching on Facebook and YouTube. You can always DM us at SwitchGrocery. Like basically, you can send them a message on Facebook. You can comment on this live after it goes up with your questions. That's probably the easiest. If you just come back and you comment on the video with a question, we always catch it. And we will 100% respond to your comments. Make the bread. It's good, especially if you have bought Muskoka Mornings egg white protein from us. You know, if it's chilling in your pantry, I always say, once you spend money on food, use the food, make the food, enjoy the food. And hopefully this helps you. You can come watch it back when you're making it and just follow the steps, and you can find the recipe on our website. Let us know if you want us to do more of these, because I get to do nothing and Brie gets to do all of it.
Yeah, it's so great. I can't wait to clean all this up. You guys don't also see half the other.
So, okay.
Lovely.
How about Brie, since you did this, I'll make something at one point and you get to just watch.
Okay.
And then you can just comment all over me and stuff.
And I'm going to pick the product of the week when you do it.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait. All right, you guys. Thank you so. We already have a message on Facebook. Yes to doing more of these, please.
Okay.
Thank you guys. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. I don't know where I'm going to leave at it. You cancel the live. I'll go off on here.
Bye.